people come, they can come in as we go. So first of all, I'd just like to introduce myself. I'm Peter Goh, CEO of Albion Resources. Thanks for attending today's webinar. If you have any questions, try and submit them through the Q&A and I'll do my best to answer them live. I've had a few questions come through over the last week or two, so I can, I'll talk to those ones as well. So first of all, let's go to the next screen. Again, there's the disclaimer notice here. So all of this is general information. So this presentation just got released to the ASX first thing this morning. So I encourage you to read the disclaimers and then look, let's get into it. So Albion Resources is a gold exploration company listed on the ASX. We're focused on the Yandal West project in Western Australia, which sits on one of the most active prospective gold regions in this country. We're still early stage, but we've had a cracking start. So some of our high-grade hits from our first drill campaign, and we're in the middle of a world-class location, right? So look, this slide deck over here shows the investment highlights. So again, we're in a world-class location. We're close proximity to 3 processing plants. That's important because we're within trucking distance to these plants. There's a long history of gold workings across the tenure and plenty of untested targets. We're well funded. We have a tight capital structure, which is absolutely critical in this market, especially in this small end of the game. And the region's hot right now. We see Yandal Resources and Gateway both re-rated north of 100 million market caps in recent times. And we're right there in that same geological patch. So what do we offer for investors? We offer leverage into the gold market, plenty of near-term catalysts, and we're getting ready for our next drill campaign. So looking at the corporate overview over here, we've got 142 million shares on issue. Our market cap's close to 10 million. We've got an enterprise value of only 6.4 million. We've got 3.8 million in the bank, so we're fully funded. This will cover our upcoming drill campaign and could actually see us through to our next drill campaign as well. So there's absolutely no stress on raise. So the top 20 own 53% of this company, and the board of directors own 13% of the company. So they've got huge leverage into this. They don't want to get diluted any much as us. And with that, it shows that we should be disciplined with our capital management and obviously where we direct our funds into drilling. On the board, we've got Steve Formica. Steve Formica is, on a number of boards. Most notably, he's on Kaiser, which is doing pretty well. We've got Chris Tuckwell. He's an absolute stalwart of the mining industry. He's had 11 years experience as the MD of Macca's Contracting. So, there wouldn't be many contracts he hasn't seen, and he's the amount of dirt and tons he's moved over the years would be hard to match. Dave Palumbo is experienced company secretary, and then obviously myself there. I've come across from Maluka Resources in March. So I've been here at the helm, focusing on the communications, getting the geology, getting the geologists working, and getting out there into the market. So look, we've got the chart there. So the chart speaks to itself, but I think the key thing here is leading into drilling campaigns. You can see a lot of momentum hit into the share price. So look, we're about to hit into a drill campaign, and that's something that you guys should take note about. Okay, looking at this figure here is a really good figure because it shows exactly where we are, why I really like this location. So our flagship project is the Yandal West project. It's 6 hours north of Kalgoorlie, 1 hour south of Woodloona. So the red outline on this map, the red outline on this map is our tenure at 61 square kilometres. It seems small because the map zoomed out so far, but it's pretty significant in this region. It sits strategically between 3 operating mills. So to the north of us, we've got the Jundee operations. To the northwest of us, we've got Woodloona, and to the south of us, we've got Bronze Wing. This is critical because this means there's lots of processing capacity in the area, and if we make a discovery, there's plenty of options for us to either truck or to treat this sort of our dirt, I should say. Look, when I was actually looking at this project, when I was putting my own name to this project and making the plunge over from a nice corporate job over into running a small cap company, I looked at other deals and transactions within the area, and this area before the gold price had hit over $3,000 had already seen a lot of action. So if we go back to 2019, the Dual List deposit, which was owned by Echo Resources, was taken over by Northern Star. That was a 300,000 ounce deposit, was taken over by Northern Star. And what I can tell you today is that's already been mined out. And I think it's sitting there on either care and maintenance, or they say a supplementary feed right now on their announcements. The Millrose deposit to the north, so the northeast of that figure, used to be owned by Strickland Resources. They did a fantastic job over 18 months. They proved up 350,000 ounces, and they too sold that to Northern Star for $61 million in 2023. So at that time, the gold price was below $2,000 an ounce. So given today's price at whatever, 3,800, I think we, there's lots of value there that they for the future. And more recently, we've got the Strickland Gateway deal, which is so Strickland did a deal with Gateway Resources. They farmed out all their Yandal tenements. They did that for a list price of 45 million. I believe they're worth over 100 million today. And then to really make, and the other spicy part about this region is if you look to the east of us, we've got the Yandal Resources, which is, designated by the yellow shading on this tenement structure over there. They've had their recent discovery, the Arrakis discovery, which is 10 kilometers to the east of our Balwiji hit last week. So if you look at them, they've come a long way. I think they capped at over 100 million. They raised about 13 million last week. Now, obviously, that's, we're in a world-class location. We're on the Greenstone Belt. We're in a fantastic region. We've also got so what I want to go through is the geology now. We've got three distinct exploration areas. So first of all, if you look at this figure on the western side, so the left side of this figure, we've got Ives Find. To the east side, we've got Balwiji, and to the south, we've got May Queen. So Ives Find, is this granite intrusive structure. So if to explain this figure, the green is the greenstone. The purple figure is this granite intrusive rock coming through. So that's a 4 kilometer by 750 meter area. It's got structures running through it. There's been mineralization all found throughout. Comparable bodies like this would be Hemi, Gruyere, Granny Smith. Historically, there's been 740 ounces of gold mined at 11.4 grams a ton back in the old 1900 days with the early workers. And there's been some really good hits since we've taken over the tenure. There's been some significant hits. So 11 meters at 20 grams a ton, 4 meters at 9.2 grams a ton, 5 at 9.6, and 3 at 11 grams a ton. And this is all relatively shallow. So they're all within 60 Ks of surface, right? We also see, and I'll talk to this in the next slides, is Duckling is two other prospects to the south of Colavilla. You can see them called out on the map. I don't know if you can see my mouse hovering over them, but they're also outstanding targets for a follow-up on, and I'll show you them in the next slides. So on the eastern side, so again, the right-hand side of this figure, as you can see, we've got a big fault line going through there, going through the Greenstone Belt. So this is mineralized over 2.6 kilometers, and we call this the Balwiji Fault. We drilled 2 holes there recently in our last campaign. The last holes we actually announced for our maiden drill campaign, and we hit an outstanding hit, 13 meters at 6.3 grams a ton from 37 meters. So that is a highly prospective area. The regional context isn't an intrusive body. It's basically on a shear or on a fault. And those targets are knockout targets for us to target our next drill campaign. Then if you look to the south, we've got May Queen. So we've called out May Queen over there. It goes for 4 kilometers as well. So again, it's like another Ives Find altogether. Again, that hasn't been the focus of our attention for our first campaign. We've done 1 drill hole there just to get some more geological information for our next drill campaign. But yeah, there's been some great hits there, and with 4 meters at 25.7 grams a ton from 60 to follow up on. But we're not here just to follow up on different hits that have been there in the past. We've actually put our own exploration efforts into it, and I'll explain that in the next few slides. So again, I've sort of called out where Ives Find is over here. This is for you guys when you're sort of researching this at home. So Ives Find sits over here. Colavilla is where we had that massive hit, 11 meters at 20 grams a ton, 4 meters at 19.2 grams a ton. So extending 800 meters south of that, south of Colavilla, is Duck and Duckling. There's been some, so we've done some gravity surveys recently, which shows there's some nice anomalies down there. We're interpreting there's gold structures, and there's actually some gold in soils analysis that we've actually put on this as well. So it's firming up as a really strong target for us. We know there's been some good hits there in the past with 4 meters at 7.5 grams a ton, 6 meters at 5.7 grams a ton, and 3 meters at 10 grams a ton from roughly below 60 meters. So they're definitely walk up targets for us. And the opportunity that presents us is where does that mineralization go because it's been unfollowed up? And then given that we've done all the other gravity analysis and all the other soils, what other stuff can we interpret from there, and what else can we target with our drilling? So this will be a big part of our next campaign, and again, it extends further south 800 meters of Colla Villa. So we're trying to prove out scale here. Okay, now if we look to the eastern side of our tenements, we've got the Barwidgee area that goes for 2.6 kilometers. Obviously, we hit that big hit there, 5 meters at 13 grams a ton, or if you look at it from a broader perspective, 2 meters at 3.8 grams a ton. Now, so why is this unique, and why are we excited about this? Firstly, it's on the Barwidgee fault. We've got an outstanding hit from 38 meters. GTE actually hit 15 meters north of us, which is also good, 4 meters at 9 grams a ton. So they're the people we got the land off. Recent field works demonstrated there's a chargeability anomaly extending 1 kilometer going to the north of where our hits were. So if you look at the figure to the left here, that's a gradient array IP survey chart. Those hotspots in there indicate there's chargeability there. Chargeability is trying to designate if there's semi-sulfides, and semi-sulfides is a good spot for gold. So the fact that we found gold there and we see that it gets hotter going north means that this is, it really excites us and the geologists, because, what if this extends up closer to there, and what if there's more gold and more sulfides in that area? Also, which I'm not showing in this chart, we've done soil analysis there, and you can see soils. So soils and all the soils have been lighting up all over that same area. So coincidence with soils lighting up means there's gold at surface, means there's a chargeability target. It means we've hit gold in 2 different zones at about 39 meters, and it's open to the north and the south. That's a screaming target in anyone's book. And let me just add, if we were to zoom this map out and go 10 kilometers to the east, you'd see the Arrakis deposit sitting there for Yandal Resources. So we're in extremely good company as well. Now moving over to May Queen. May Queen again sits to the south. I really just highlight where all these are because it can be confusing. There's so many prospects that we've got out there. But again, this extends 4 kilometers. As I said before, there's a fault line and granite intrusive rocks in there. So again, what you're looking for is you're looking for something to catch that gold. Looking for different structures at play that could get that, economic, deposit. Talking to the region more broadly, if you look at this figure here, we've got 2 fault lines running through our tenure. That red outline at the top is sort of an outline of what our tenure looks like altogether. As you can see, the Mount McClure fault and the Bronze-Wing fault converge right at May Queen, and then they go into what we call the Barwidgee fault. So again, these fault lines are exactly what you need when you're trying to look for gold. You want fault lines, you want to see where gold can run through, plus you need something to catch the gold. There's intrusive rocks, faults, and then obviously that area extends for 4 kilometers is what we're targeting. And obviously it's got those granite intrusive rocks coming through it as well. Now, why are we excited about this area other than just the fault lines going through in the granite intrusive rocks? And what are we doing about it? So first of all, we've got a gravity survey that's been completed. We're interpreting the data right now. And what that will do is interpret where all the structures sit. So where does the intrusive rock sit? Where do those fault lines come through? We've actually, and I didn't write it down here, we're actually doing geochem analysis as well. So again, looking for pathfinder minerals, exactly like Strickland and Gateway Resources are doing right now. And we've also initiated a gradient array IP survey, which will be done in the next 2 weeks, and the results should come quickly after that. So again, if you look at this chart over here, there's also been some promising hits here in the past, 4 meters at 25.7 grams a ton, 3 at 7.7 grams a ton. Look, these are all within about 60 meters of surface. So there's gold in the ground. We know there's gold in soils. We've got some really solid structures, and we've got 2 fault lines coming through there. This is a screaming target for us to test. The scale, we're already proving that area is over 4 kilometers long. When we come back and talk to you just pre-drilling, we'll give you even more data on this. But we're excited about May Queen and what it might hold for us as Yandal Resources and you as the shareholders. So guys, what's to come there? Again, I'm just trying to wet the whistle of what we have, the tenure, the location. With us, we've got plenty of news flow to come. So first of all, we've got the gravity survey and geochem interpretation for May Queen will be out in the next week. We've got gradient array IP and geophysics coming out within 4 weeks at May Queen. At Ice North and Duck and Duckling, there'll be geochem, soil sampling, rock chip analysis coming within 2 weeks. And then that will build into a broader drill campaign, which we target to kick off in mid-November. They'll be targeting that Barwidgee fault, as I said, as a screaming target. May Queen, you've got two fault lines converging in one area. We're proving up all the different structures in there. And last but not least, we've also got Ice Farm, where we've got the Collar Villa, so where we had that 20 metre, 11 gram a tonne, the extensional drilling on those areas. Plus, we've got Duckling, which we see is 800 metres south of that, with high-grade hits there. We've got gravity analysis and soil supporting, a wider drill campaign in there. We've got 4 extremely good targets. And let me just add, our objective is to build out even more targets. There's so much smoke around this area that we will be building out more and more targets, so we can maintain momentum, so we can start, get our drills out there and try and make a discovery. So again, why invest in us? I mean, look, we've got a market cap of 10 mil and EV of 6 mil, relative to our peers who are worth, whatever, hundreds of million. We've already found in our first maiden drill campaign, we've identified high grade shallow gold. Again, we've had some great hits. If you just went through our headlines, 20, 11 meters a ton, even 22 at 3.6 from 37 meters. These are outstanding hits, and they're all very shallow. So anywhere in the future where I say we're going to test something at depth, is not even going to be more than 100 meters, most likely. We're close to 3 processing plants. Those processing plants, will give us great flexibility if we get some success here. They're all within trucking distance. As a crow flies, they're within 60 Ks. We know that they've demonstrated they've want feed. They've already done, John Dee, which is owned by Northern Star's already done 2 transactions, which I've called out today. I know Walluna's already signed an MOU for an offtake agreement with another party as well. And then with the recent discoveries over at Yandal Resources with the Arrakis discovery, the Siona discovery, shows there's a lot of eyes on the region. Obviously, there's a strong gold market. There's near-term news flow. Again, moving into this drill campaign, there's plenty of news flow to come, and we'll be drilling, in mid-November. So there's plenty to go into that, and obviously we're building a funnel of targets. So we're building a funnel of targets so we can maintain that momentum, but also we can open up new areas, and hopefully we have success in all those different areas. Look, that's it for the presentation there. Let me just go have a look at the Q&A for a second, so bear with me while I get this up. Okay, guys, I'll paraphrase some of this stuff over here. So I've got a question. How does the Arrakis discovery change your exploration plan? So Arrakis discovery was a discovery made by Yandal Resources 2 weeks ago, located 10 kilometers to the east of the Barwidgee hit of ours. Look, I think it just reinforces the perspective of the greenstone belt. We announced our announcement of, 22 meters at 3.8 grams a ton. Pretty much the day of or the day after their announcement. It just gives us confidence the area is highly mineralized. And obviously, if we can prove out some scale, I think what separates them from us is they did 2 holes, 400 meters apart, and they got, I think, what do they get? 150 meters at 1 gram a ton for both those holes. If we can step out further and develop some scale there, I think we will really attract the attention of the market. Right, so what? Will you keep on drilling? Okay, so look, we're fully funded, and we can comfortably run and extend this program, based on what we've got. So our current plan, and this is right now before we've actually put our drill plan totally together and finalized it, is 3,000 meters before Christmas. We'll have results expected to flow into January. So depending on those outcomes, we could roll directly into the next phase. And ideally, we'll probably get results out in December and January, right? So we'll have news flow in there. And as I've been saying, we're building out a strong pipeline of of targets there. So why should investors back Albion over others? So I guess we're talking about other gold companies. So the gold market is running hot. We've got, the sentiment's extremely positive. Albion offers exposure to the momentum through, low EV, a high leverage position to one of, WA's most active belts, and probably getting the most attention out of most with Yandal going bananas. We're surrounded by 100 million peers. We've got mills within trucking distance. We're about to drill again in mid-November. So look, we offer a strong risk reward position to investors. So we're small, leverage.